Back home now, Lloydminster's new mechanical wastewater treatment facility has been completed. The final report presented to City Council says the new facility is anticipated to help not only Lloydminster, but also neighboring towns and Indigenous communities.
Been in the making for 6 years, and I want to say thank you to the community for their support, to the governments of Canada, Saskatchewan, and Alberta that helped fund that project to a good portion of it. There's still a cost to the taxpayers, but we couldn't have done it without the government's support.
The project cost over $81 million and received funding from all 3 levels of government.
We live in a community with industry. We have oil and gas, and we're very proud of it, but we just need to respect that wastewater that goes out to our wastewater treatment plant. And we'll look forward to having an official opening in the springtime to acknowledge all the hard work that's gone into that facility, because it's a facility that we all need, but nobody really wants to be there. And appreciate the team that makes it happen each and every day out there to do the job properly.
The specific date for the grand opening is still to be determined. The New Life Community Church is doing its part to get the city in the Christmas spirit by setting up a drive-through light show outside of their church. Local artists have come together to help set up this festive display, trying to bring the community closer over the holidays.
I said people in Lloydminster like to go and look at Christmas lights, and as a church we said, why don't we provide an opportunity for people to come and experience the Christmas and see the good news, the great joy that we celebrate here at New Life, and also to make it accessible for people to come and drive through and see the lights.
This is the first year New Life Community Church has put on this display, and they made sure to start it at an appropriate time.
We wrapped the trees with lights earlier than that because it was warmer, and that was a good time to do it. But really, end of November, we wanted the lights to be up and running for the whole month of December for people.
The lights will stay up until the first week of January for those who celebrate Ukrainian Christmas, and the church will also offer service on Christmas Eve at both 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
And we just thought by taking people back a journey maybe to the first Christmas, it would be a great way to do it.
Yeah, the shepherd said, I bring you good news of great joy, which will be for all the people. Today in the city of David, a Savior is born to you. He is Christ the Lord, and that's what we want to share with everyone.
Abby St. John joins me now to have a look at the weather. Abby, what can we expect?
We had a very nice day out today, quite sunny out, which is what was expected. And, you know, going into the evening, I think we're expected to have a pretty chill evening as well. And yeah, today was a really nice day out. Definitely not as typical as we're usually experiencing at this time of year, but again, you'll not hear any complaints from me about the warmer weather than what we should be experiencing. It is currently -2 with that 17-kilometer-per-hour winds. Feels closer to -7 with that wind chill. And then more temperatures across the region in Alberta, +1 out in Provost, -1 in Wainwright and Vermilion, -2 in Marwayne and Bonnyville, and +2 out in Edmonton, -4 in Vegreville, -3 in St. Paul and Lac La Biche, and then -5 out in Cold Lake. And on the Saskatchewan side, -8 in Isla Cross, -3 in Pearceland, -5 in Green Lake, -4 in Meadow Lake, St. Walburg, and Maidstone, and -1 out in Macklin, and North Battleford is sitting at -6. Overnight tonight in North Battleford, it'll just drop down 1 more degree to -7. Partially cloudy skies overnight tonight, and 15-kilometer-per-hour winds. And then tomorrow, expect a daytime high of +1, a mix of sun and cloud, but the clouds will break throughout the day, 15-kilometer-per-hour winds as well. Overnight tonight in Cold Lake will drop down to -8, and those clouds should clear up as the evening goes on, and the winds will be at 9 kilometers per hour. And then tomorrow, expect a mostly sunny day out with a daytime high of +2. Winds only at 7 kilometers per hour, so it should feel pretty nice out tomorrow with that sunny day. Overnight tonight here in Lloydminster, we will be quite windy, 24-kilometer-per-hour winds, partially cloudy skies, and we'll be at -7, but it will feel a lot colder than that with that wind speed. And then tomorrow, just to break down the day, at -5 in the morning, partially cloudy skies, and that wind will be at 17 kilometers per hour, which it will remain 17 until the evening. And then around recess time, mid-morning, partially sunny skies. So we're expected to see some sun out tomorrow. It will be around -4, -1 around lunchtime, and that partially sunny skies will remain until school is out. A little bit more cloud coverage as the day carries on, and by the end of the day around 3 o'clock it will be +2. However, that wind will be at 30 kilometers per hour. And then over the next 3 days here in the border city, like I said, we'll have a high of +2 and a low of -2 for tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we have about a 57% chance of some early morning rain, but a cloudy day with a high of +4 and a low of -5. And then on Friday, breezier in the afternoon with a mix of sun and cloud with a high of +2 and a low of -4. That is a first look at your evening weather forecast. I'll have more overnight temperatures later on in the show.
The Lakeland Rustlers are currently on winter break for exams and Christmas before they return to regular season action in January. A few teams will be heading abroad for some exhibition games. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
Today I'm joined by Alan Rogan, the athletic director of Lakeland College, and he is here today to talk about how some of the Lakeland College Rustlers teams are going to be traveling internationally and throughout Canada for the Christmas break. And so thank you so much for being with me today, Alan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, Alan, so let's start with the women's hockey team. I've mentioned it a few times in my stories, but they are going down to Arizona State. So talk to me about how head coach Morgan Mann and the rest of the team and you guys were able to get that set up to go down to Arizona State for a few exhibition games.
Yeah, so the Coach Mann and the hockey group, they kind of reached out down in the States and just looking for exhibition games and experiences that some of our student athletes probably won't have in their life probably. So they were able to line up some games down in Arizona over basically in early part of the new year before things get really busy for school and back into the regular season. So they're taking the entire team down there with their coaching staff, and whenever we can send our students to compete in competitions that are not like our regular season, it's an experience that, like I said, many probably haven't even left the country, and which seems kind of odd sometimes, but for some of these kids it'll be an experience they're going to remember for a lifetime, and they get to play some against some hockey teams that are in the U.S. to see what the caliber of hockey is like down there.
And so you've also mentioned now that the basketball teams are going to be heading elsewhere during the Christmas break. Just talk to me about where they're heading and the experiences they will see.
Yeah, so our basketball teams are going to be jumping on a bus, and they're going to be, between Christmas and New Year's, they're going to be heading down to Montana. They're going to be competing against, I believe, 3 institutions down in Montana on over a 4-day period. Once again, they get to compete against some basketball institutions in the U.S. and get to see how they compare to some of these U.S. schools. And when you go on a trip that long, it's always you always want to try and turn into a positive team building experience as well. You're going to be in a bus for a while and traveling down the road. So anytime, like I said, you can play against some teams you normally don't play against is a really positive experience for our student athletes. And like I said, those kind of trips they usually remember for a very long time. So.
And then finally, the women's volleyball team is heading back out to BC after that national championship win. Just talk to me about that experience in heading out to Victoria. Yeah, so our women's volleyball team, first week in January, is going to be heading out to Victoria. They're going to be competing against some teams in the BC Conference, Pac West. Next to Alberta, Pac West is probably one of the, historically one of the stronger women's volleyball conferences in the country. So, Coach Dyer's going to be able to have his team compete against some pretty solid competition out in BC there in that first week of January, and get them all prepared to, on a playoff run to hopefully return back to Nationals this year. They're going to be hosted in Red Deer, and then hopefully repeat as national champions, but there's a lot to go before we get there. But once again, I'm pretty sure that's probably our goal for sure, and to compete against some of the top teams is a way to prepare for that. So. And so finally, Alan, just talk to me about how you guys are sending Lakeland College abroad, whether it's in Canada or down into the States, and just how important it is to be able to show off the program to various other schools and make sure that you guys represent not only Lloydminster and Vermilion well, but just Alberta in general in the ACAC.
Yeah, so like I said, sending our teams when we send our teams into different places, whether we send them outside the province or into the U.S. or other countries, it's an experience. It's also a recruitment tool for us to some degree, where if we can give those student athletes an opportunity to go and compete against other teams in other countries or other parts of the world, so it's an incredible experience. And it's also a cultural piece where they get to go and see how people live in different parts of the world. It's not easy. They have to go out and fundraise all the money to go on these trips. It's not money that the college basically allocates for our teams. So, you know, our teams are out raising money for all of these exhibition opportunities early in the season and prior to coming to Lakeland. But, you know, in our coach's mind and for our student athletes, the extra effort, the extra time is worth the investment. So, you know, they go out and they raise the funds to head out onto these trips, and it's a great experience for these student athletes that, like I said, they'll probably remember for a lifetime.
Awesome. Well, it's very good to hear that the Lakeland Wrestlers are going to be having some great experiences over the Christmas break, and we will definitely catch up with them after those awesome experiences, whether it's in Victoria or down in the States. And so we will have more Lakeland College Wrestlers action once they return from Christmas break coming up in the new year.
Abby St. John is back to bring us another look at the weather.
Thanks, Leanne. We're currently sitting at -2, feels closer to -6 with that wind chill. 11 km/h winds now. We're predicted to have them speed right back up overnight tonight, so definitely be cautious about that. Cloudier skies, but it's going to be more partially cloudy to clear skies for overnight tonight. And then across the region in Alberta, -5 in Cold Lake and out in Jasper, -2 in Red Deer, +2 out in Edmonton, -3 in Whitecourt, -6 in Rocky Mountain House, -1 in Edson, and 0 in Athabasca. And then on the Saskatchewan side, -7 in Meadow Lake, -5 in Prince Albert, and in Saskatoon, -6 in Melfort and in North Battleford. And then if we take a look up north in Saskatchewan, -15 in Uranium City, -20 in Stony Rapids, -16 in Wollaston Lake and South End, -17 in Flin Flon, and -9 in Buffalo Narrows and La Loche. And then on the Alberta side, -7 in Fort Mac, -8 in Slave Lake and Fort Chipewyan, -14 in High Level, -3 in Peace River, and -2 out in Grand Prairie. And then down south in Alberta, +3 out in Medicine Hat, +4 in Lethbridge, 2 out in Calgary, -2 in Coronation, and -8 out in Banff. And on the Saskatchewan side, -3 in Kindersley and Moose Jaw, -5 in Estevan and Yorkton, -4 in Regina, and -1 out in Swift Current. Overnight tonight in North Battleford, will drop down to -7, partially cloudy skies overnight tonight, and that wind will be at 15 km/h. And then overnight tonight in Cold Lake, expect the clouds to start clearing as the evening goes on. It will only be around -8, and that wind won't be too strong at 9 km/h. More overnight temperatures across the region, -7 in Meadow Lake, -9 in Bonnyville and Isle La Crosse, -6 in Provost, and -10 in Paradise Hill. Cloudier skies in Meadow Lake and Isle La Crosse, but for the most part it should remain mainly clear in Bonnyville, Provost, and Paradise Hill. And then more overnight temperatures across the region, -8 in Murnum, -9 in Pierceland, -7 in Unity and Wainwright, and -2 out in Calgary. And most of the areas are going to experience just partially cloudy skies. In Unity, that wind speed will be at 22 km/h, so definitely be cautious about that. Overnight tonight here in Lloydminster, we'll have partially cloudy skies with that 24 km/h wind speed. Like I said, it was predicted to speed up as we head into the evening, and then we will be sitting at -7. Over the next 7 days here in Lloydminster, a high of +2 and a low of -2 for tomorrow. Intervals of clouds and sun, so it will be a mix of both. And then on Thursday, 57% chance of a little morning rain with a high of +4 and a low of -5. Expected to be a very overcast day. On Friday, a mix of sun and cloud, breezy in the afternoon with a high of +2 and a low of -4. The same goes on Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud, also a high of +2 and a low of -4. On Sunday, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of -1 and a low of -8. High of -1 is also predicted on Monday, and those clouds should clear up with a low of -9. And then on Tuesday, we'll have a very cloudy, overcast day with a high of -3 and a low of -8. That is a look at your evening weather forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break. I'm back at Border Paws Animal Shelter for another edition of Pet Project, and today we have part of the Sesame Street bunch, Grover, and he is an adorable black cat, and he has a bit of a unique feature to him. So can you tell me a bit about his story and how he came to be? I understand that he came in with a couple other cats as well.
Yeah, so Grover actually came into us as a stray from the Arm of Britannia. Him and the other guys that he came in with were actually really nervous. The lady that found them had to tame them for a while before she was able to catch them and bring them to us at the end of October. So they've really come around and are showing their affection today. And they're quite good with each other. They really like to cuddle, so they would be okay to go to a home together, but also are confident enough that they could be separated. He's a really nice cat. We haven't tested them with dogs, but he seems like he'd be more of a hider than a fighter, I think, if a dog wasn't getting along with him or something. He's really good with the other cats. He's great with kids. He's a nice combination of playful versus cuddly as well. But yeah, he's a really nice cat. We think about 3 years old, and he did really well during jail and bail, hanging out with all the different volunteers that stopped by.
Yes, he is super adorable, and since he's been out, he was kind of hiding a little bit when he first came in, and now he's, he's being super playful, coming up to the camera. He's definitely not camera shy, which is a lot of cats, that's the problem. Now, he has a unique feature to him.
Yes.
His ear is kind of permanently folded downwards. Tell me about how that happened and why it's not going to come back up.
Yeah, so when he came in, he did have a pretty bad ear infection that was treated and a hematoma. So now that it has since healed, there's a lot of scar tissue on that ear, so it's kind of staying flat. But it kind of adds to his character and his personality and gives him a bit of a rare and unique look with the one ear down and one up that you don't see in cats as much. So I think it kind of adds to his uniqueness.
Absolutely, and he's adorable, and it definitely adds to the cute factor. Now, is he healthy otherwise now that he's all healed and stuff?
Yeah, so he's already been neutered, has all his vaccines, and is ready for a new home.
Now, jail and bail has concluded, and the auction has concluded. Now, we have a couple raffles still going on, but so far, you have beaten your goal of last year.
Yes.
Tell me about how jail and bail and the auction went, and then information people should know about the raffles that are still going on.
You betcha. So this year, everything was online, which made it a little easier for our staff and for our bookkeeper to keep track of everything, which was awesome. And then it allowed people from far and wide to be able to access the auction as well. So we had a ton of donations. We had a huge silent auction set up. Like the whole hallway was pretty much covered in items, which was amazing. I believe our auction raised just over $6,000 on its own. And that actually put us over the top of our goal, which was $42,000, so that we would beat last year, which was a record-breaking year. And we are now at just over $45,000, which is incredible. So we are really excited about that.
Yes, that is super exciting, and so great that you guys were able to beat a record-breaking number. So now you've beaten that record. Now, next year is going to be even bigger and better.
Exactly.
Now you have a couple raffles still going on. How can people get involved in that, and what is kind of up for the raffle?
So we have 3 raffles going on right now. 2 will end this Friday, the 15th, I believe at 9 a.m. in the morning. So you want to go online. We do have it linked to our Facebook page as well, or you can go on the website. So one raffle is the Banff Wellness Retreat. So you get 2 different dates you can choose from in spring and fall. And it looks like a really nice like spiritual wellness retreat. So I know a lot of people will be interested in that. And tickets are pretty cheap. So go online and you can buy 1 or you can buy bundles of 3 if you're interested. We also have another one that also ends this Friday. It's for a co-op gift card. So it's for $1,000. So if you win that, that's really nice to have right before the holidays. And then our 3rd raffle ends on Wednesday, December 20th. And that one is for a freezer that will be given to you along with $300 worth of gift cards to Lower Shannon Farms. And that was donated by Bev Lorenz. So 3 really great prizes that you can win just in time for the holidays.
Yes, those are fantastic and different. Each one is very different from the other. So I think, you know, someone may not really care about the wellness retreat, but that $1,000 gift card looks very, very nice. And like you said, we're almost at Christmas time, so last minute shopping, food, all that fun stuff can be completely covered, which is awesome. Now, is there anything else going on currently here at the shelter now that Jail and Bail is over?
Not too much. Right now we're focusing on kind of looking at how we've done for the year and kind of keeping the shelter nice and clean because we did some extra cleaning right before Jail and Bail, so we're liking how organized it is. And just kind of looking into what we want to do for the new year as far as like training the animals goes and focusing on their care and that kind of thing, and looking forward to the holidays.
And finally, is there any donations that you're in need of specifically?
So as always, canned cat food we go through very quickly. A lot of the strays that come in are kind of on the lower side of weight, and we want to put some weight on them and get them healthy, so we go through a lot of canned cat food. As always, dog kibble, cat kibble, kitten chow, that kind of thing. But the canned cat food is what we're in most need of right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining me for Pet Project and Grover and the rest of the Sesame Street bunch. They're all fantastic cats, especially Grover.
Cuddly.
So hopefully all, or at least some of them, can find their forever homes.
Yes, and hopefully in time for the holidays too.
Yes.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
Kaylee Boisvert is a financial literacy expert and an author of 2 books. She hails from Calgary. Thanks for joining me. So just talking today about affordability, everything that's costing more, inflation. How do people try to get ahead of that and maintain their sanity and their finances over the holiday season?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you're right. There is a lot of kind of attention on purchasing and buying, and it's been a really tough year financially for, I think, most people across the board. So we've had inflation, which means everything's getting more expensive. Interest rates going up. So it means, our mortgage payments and things like that are more expensive as well. So all around, it's been a really tough year financially. And now we're in the holiday season, which historically is more of, a big spending month. So I would say, what can we do? Because that's the key, right? We need to focus on what you can do. There's going to be always a lot out of your control. So I would say plan ahead. And I know we're already sort of well into December and you're like, how do we plan ahead now? Well, you can still do some things to plan ahead. Like if you have, some more items you still need to buy, maybe you haven't even started, write yourself a list of what you need to do. It's just like when you go to the grocery store, writing a list versus not. I find I'm always like aimlessly shopping and buying a lot more versus when I have a list, I really stick to it, focus on that. So same can be said with shopping over the holidays. Write the things down. That's how we can plan ahead. Do your research. So at our fingertips, we have the ability to look up, when it comes to kids, I know they're very specific on what they want on that Christmas list. So if you can do some research of like, okay, how much is it, at Walmart or Amazon, and compare some prices, you can find maybe a little bit of cost savings there. So again, it's at our fingertips versus back in the day, maybe when you'd have to like go through all the flyers and things like that. So should essentially be a lot easier to do. track your spending. So I think a lot of people, you know, it's the dreaded holiday spending, and you're like, I have no idea how much I spent. And so there's a very easy way to answer that question. How much did you spend? It's just looking at your credit card statements, debit card statements, your online banking, just taking a look and keeping a track of that number. And it's just, that's what I call money awareness. And I talk about this in my book, Make Money Your Thing. I have a whole chapter devoted to money awareness. You know, we don't have to say it specifically as a budget and putting restrictions necessarily, but you need to have an awareness of what you're spending. If you have some sort of goals in mind, or, you know, saying like, I don't want to go into debt, or, you know, use my credit cards too much this holiday season or whatnot. So you need to have that awareness. So it's not an exercise of, you know, beating yourself up or something like that. It's just an awareness tool of saying, let me take a look at what I've spent so far. And that's going to help you keep on track. So money awareness is key. And another one I would say is just getting creative, like think outside of the box. Again, we've had a really tough year financially. So what can you do that's maybe a different way to go about how you've done Christmas or the holidays, and to spend less? Maybe instead of having like a big dinner gathering, maybe it's a potluck and everyone brings a dish, and that's fun too. Like, I love that idea. I'm not a huge like cook myself, so I never want to host because I'm like, oh, there's a lot of pressure of making the food. And so if, you know, everyone's, you know, bringing something, then it becomes more about just getting together and having fun. Do the gift exchanges, things like that. So get creative, think outside of the box, for ways that you can do things differently that won't necessarily cost as much, or maybe it won't cost anything.
How do you avoid the keeping up with the Joneses mentality that can get you in so much trouble?
Absolutely. Like, you bring up such a good point there, and had that written down too, because that's the pressure too, is that coming with like keeping up, and we see what people are doing more so because of social media. So we have to find ways to block out some of that noise. Maybe it's going on social media a little less often over this holiday season, and really being aware of things like targeted marketing are like full-fledged right now. Like, you're getting the ads of, you know, you need to buy this, have that. And yeah, there's a lot of pressure to that. So remembering, you know, how can you block out the noise? How can you not, you know, see all that? Because when you're seeing it over and over again, it does start to seem like, okay, this is the reality. I need to have, you know, more stuff. I need to go get even more presents. So block out the noise as much as you can. Remember, you have the ability to say no.
So those are some really good tips, and thanks for the advice. I appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
One Calgary man is bringing the spirit of Christmas season to his neighborhood with a breathtaking display. The display is called Believe in Christmas. The residents have been putting up the lights for 30 years. It takes the owners about 2.5 days to set up the display, and they keep adding new features every year.
I think this is really fun and festive, and, you know, it seemed like Calgary got some snow, which, I mean, that's nice for them, get them into the Christmas spirit, but I think that's gorgeous. And, you know, the amount of time and effort and work and money that goes into decorating a house so gorgeous like this is unbelievable. So it really just makes Christmas really bright.
I just have to give them props for taking the time to do that, and at a lot of expense.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for joining us. That's all we have for you tonight. Have a good evening.